Okay, so thank you so much. Well, in the next few moments, I will have the opportunity to address your attention towards our scientific network and infrastructure we have created for the prevention of one very specific problem. But before coming to this, I would like to express on the behalf of our entire co-authors team our gratitude to the organizers for the opportunity to be part of this exciting scientific event and on such an important and interesting topic. So the currently very intensified state of technological development actually changes the research environment very, very rapidly in every scientific direction, and the similarly very conservative direction and field of humanities is actually no exception. On the contrary, research in the field of history, for example, is considered at this point to be on the verge of new evolutionary level, so that computer sciences and humanities are no longer just exchanging methodology. They are actually able to generate new methods, new questions, and new information and knowledge as a result. In this concept, actually, the digital numismatics has a very special place because of the rich data core of the numismatic monuments as whole. Exactly this is the perspective through which we are addressing this very pressing issue, which amongst every other aspect is also long-lasting. The spread of counterfeits of ancient numismatic items is very often considered to be a problem, for example, only of the auction houses, but actually this is a multi-level issue that's affecting historical reconstruction, social and identity questions that are being distorted by this phenomenon. Recording fakes instead of original coins into scientific circulation leads to endless errors with unpredictable consequences as whole. So within our concept, we identified two main aspects how to approach this issue. On one side, we need to create a stable and proactive academic network able to exchange and communicate information. And on the other side, we need an active IT-based digital tool, IT-based tool that would be an effective asset in this process. So what did we do until the moment? Because actually I'm going to start with a bit of a origin story. Our network was created, officially created, so to say, in 2021. And this network has started with the support of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, which supported us by granting Professor Dilyana Boteva, one of the co-authors of this presentation, with the Humboldt Alumni Prize for Innovative Initiative for 2021. So we started with less than 20 members at this point, but what is very important is to say that we are aware that this wasn't the first endeavor and was the first step in this direction. That's why we were so happy to have amongst those 20 people researchers with long-lasting experience in this direction, as Professor Ilya Prokopov and Associated Professor Valentina Grigorova-Gencheva, who had already been recognized as experts in the field of identifying forgeries of numismatic objects, and also Dr. Ulrike Petter, one of our co-authors here, who also in the starting of her platform, numismatic platform, Corpus Numorum, since the very start of this platform in 2012, she had already incorporated the concept of researching forgeries within the platform. So, as I said, we started with less than 20 people, but as you can see on the current slide, we are already more than 40 and growing. And also not just Europe, but a few continents already, and many different institutions are represented in this network. Actually, it's very important to state that the stakeholders are from this are very different. We have representatives of universities, of academia, research institutes, but also museums, and of course also the auction houses, in order to create a stable network of experts able to address this issue. So we organized sequence of different events. Some of those are on this slide. As you can see, our goal was to communicate. Our goal was to experiment. So we had also a few experimental workshops within which we actually developed further the expertise in identification of forgery techniques. We also were very keen on the vivid discussions that were led throughout all of those events, and actually many more. It wasn't here is not the place to enlist them all. We discussed for proactive strategies to contradict and prevent this phenomenon, and we also very often discuss the question, how much information should we give to the broader public? And I should say that this is a very hot topic. Each and every time when we pose this question in the room, it normally splits up in two. One side is the side that says that we should not be so free acting with our information in order not to not to teach also the forgers what to do and not to do. On the other side is the part that's on the opinion that we should release all the information we have in order to prevent them for doing so. Maybe in this regard, you're also going to have your own opinion in a few moments. So I just started with the concept that we identified that we need active network of people, but we also need active and stable enough technological infrastructure. And that's the place that we come to with this folio of our presentation, namely that we created a network of people, but we also were able to create a network of projects, helping each other and adding to each other in this concept. Each of those projects that you can see on this slide has its topic, its main goal, and research area. But all of them are able to contribute also to the question that we researched under the Ancient Coins Counterfeits scientific network. All of those scientific projects are providing us with the needed data, context, and research information. But even furthermore, they are providing us with specific technology and also helping us with research on the materials themselves. Within those projects, we were able to make a database with XRF analysis on both original and counterfeit coins objects, so that we can gather information and scientific base of our research. We also were able to experiment with creating databases and enlarging them. For example, we are experimenting with creating a multi-type source database. At this point, we actually extended the corpus numorum dataset, which is numismatic at its core, but we are experimenting with enlarging it for epigraphic data, and we are experimenting with the Digidotum project in this connection. All of this is providing our topic with the forgeries with more and more background data, context data, which we are going to come back in a few moments to. Within all of these projects, we also thought about how are we going to disseminate this information, not only through the events we were able to organize, which I mentioned a few moments ago, but also in a stable way. How do we constantly give this scientific approach stage? One of one of the options I would like to present to your attention is actually the Bulgarian Numismatic Journal, which is an open source scientific journal for numismatics, where we are able to publish, and we publish some of our results. And the other thing is the Sofia Numismatic School, which is a different approach to the subject, and so where we not only were able and are able to present what are the new expertise, what is the new expertise we achieved, but we are able to teach this to the young scholars that come and are being a part of this. And here you can see results only from a few days ago in the UTUM, where Professor Ilya Prokopov is actually working with students from the second Sofia Numismatic School that took place in the UTUM. So, what is the current stage of development of our concept? Because identifying forgeries of numismatic material is a question that requires practical work and precise analysis with the counterfeits themselves. That's why we decided to have more hands-on deck approach for the second stage of our development. And this is within the project Mistakes, a Source of Knowledge, which is supported by the Eric. So there are currently many scientific collections in many scientific institutions around the world that are made of non-originals, but unfortunately none of those collections is actually digitized till the moment, which limits severely the community's ability to study and deepen its knowledge on the forgeries. That's why we developed three main objectives of our project at this stage. First, the first objective is to digitize one of the most significant collections of non-originals, which actually belongs to the coin cabinet of the Royal Library of Belgium. And in a campaign just 2 months ago, very active campaign, very intensive one, thanks to this technology that you can see on the slide now, which was provided from the same family of projects that I mentioned earlier. We managed to digitize more than 2,500 out of 3,365 objects. At this point, they are already being processed and are going to be imported in the Corpus Numorum platform, where they are going to be represented alongside with originals and on a separate website as only focused on forgeries. The second aspect we pointed our specific interest toward is a specific collection created by Professor François de Courtaille, also a member of our network. He created a collection of specific data cards on numismatic forgeries, which we were able to process now. We process this collection into different aspects. On one side, the data cards themselves are actually an object of cultural heritage. That's why with the colleagues Margaret Warburton, Klaus Franke, and Tim Westphal, we managed to digitize and publish already all of the cards that Professor Kalatai gathered. With this QR, you are able to enter and see the entire collection. It's open source, so you are free to download the images and to study them and publish them with the correct citation, of course. And the other aspect is that all of those data cards were processed and with OCR technology as Tesseract, and also natural language algorithms, processing algorithms. So very intensively it was done. So we already have the entire workflow, which is applicable to different similar collections. At this point, we already will release also the linked open data sets, which are going to be connected also with the galleries of cards. So we have the entire workflow. And the last aspect of this stage of our development is connected with the Numisma Forgeries Working Group. Numisma is, maybe, as some of you know, this institution is creating stable URIs for numismatic concepts, and actually is creating stable URIs for the graph of patient for all data. So the forgeries concept is observed by science since the 16th century, but we are still lacking a standardized way to communicate this information. That's why the Forgeries Working Group is working on developing terminological set with standardized also definitions with stable URIs that are going to be applicable throughout in every linked open data set. And also we are developing a standardized way to communicate this, because if now I tell you that something is forgery, you're faced with the choice either to believe me or not. We are trying to find a way to communicate this information in a standardized manner with expertise card, which will allow us not only to say that something is forgery, but to communicate it with our colleagues in a very precise way, pointing their attention to the markers, so that we can exchange more actively this information and be more able to prevent this from happening. Our to-do list is actually much greater than what we have achieved till the moment. We want to be more proactive with the communication of what we have achieved. We are on the verge of publishing a forgery bibliography on the forgeries topic, which will be freely available on our platforms. Also, we are further developing our IT tools. And of course, we are in search of funding constantly and collaboration, which we hope to find maybe also in this event. Some of the open questions that we need to address further on one side is how can we enhance the scientific foundation of the numismatic forgery topic and the research. How do we move forward with the concept of discussing a specimen that might be a forgery? Because there is a great fear, I should say, at this point in individuals and also institutions to address certain objects like forgeries with the possibility that they might be forged, because they are afraid that once addressed in this matter, this object can never come back to the scientific and can never be exonerated. But we need to speak more freely on this topic. And also, how can we as numismatic network and of researchers be more helpful both to our members, but also to each and every institution or individual that might need our assistance. And we are very open to new ideas. So if some of those came to your mind now, we'll be happy to have them in the discussion maybe. So thank you so much for your attention, and we're open to your suggestions. Thank you. Thank you so much.